Compound light microscope. The compound light microscope is a common tool in a life science laboratory. A compound light microscope is an instrument that magnifies small objects so that they can be seen easily. It has three main parts: a tube with two or more lenses, a stage, and a light. Items may be colored with special dyes to make them more visible. Items are placed on the stage so that the light passes through them. The lenses at each end of the tube magnify the image. Electron microscopes. Not all microscopes use light. In electron microscopes, tiny particles called electrons are used to produce magnified images. The images produced are clearer and more detailed than those made by light microscopes. However, living things cannot be viewed with electron microscopes because the preparation process kills them. The two kinds of electron microscopes used in life science are the transmission electron microscope, or TEM, and the scanning electron microscope, or SEM. Figure 2 shows three kinds of microscopes and an example of the images that each kind can produce.
Light and living things. Section 1. The electromagnetic spectrum. Key concept. Visible light, infrared waves, and ultraviolet light are small parts of a large electromagnetic spectrum. You look around, you can see things that reflect light to your eyes. But a bee might see the same things differently, as Figure 1 shows. Bees can see a kind of light, called ultraviolet light, that you can't see. It might seem odd to label something that you can't see with the term light. The light that you are most familiar with is called visible light. Ultraviolet light is similar to visible light. Both are forms of energy that travel as a certain kind of wave. Light, an electromagnetic wave. Some kinds of waves, such as water waves, must travel through matter, which is anything that has mass and takes up space. All light waves can also travel through matter. But light does not need matter through which to travel. Light is an electromagnetic wave, or EM wave. An electromagnetic wave is a wave that consists of changing electric and magnetic fields. EM waves can travel through empty space or matter. Fields exist around certain objects and can exert a force on another object without touching that object. The electric field in an EM wave is similar to the electric fields around charged particles. And the magnetic field in an EM wave is similar to the magnetic fields around magnets. But keep in mind that these fields, like all fields, are not made of matter. A spectrum of waves. Visible light waves and ultraviolet light waves are both kinds of electromagnetic waves. Other kinds of EM waves include radio waves, infrared waves, and X-rays. Visible light, ultraviolet light, and infrared waves are important to living things. The entire range of electromagnetic waves is called the electromagnetic spectrum. The electromagnetic spectrum is shown in Figure 2. As you can see, visible light is only a small band within the broad electromagnetic spectrum. There is no sharp division between one kind of wave and the next. Some kinds even have overlapping ranges. Wavelength and the EM spectrum. You probably know how different kinds of EM waves are used. For example, microwaves are used to cook food in microwave ovens. Radio waves are used to send TV and radio signals. And X-rays are used in X-ray machines to make images of tissues and bones. How is one kind of EM wave different from other kinds of EM waves? An important difference between kinds of EM waves is their wavelength. A wavelength is the distance from any point on a wave to an identical point on the next wave. Figure 3 shows how wavelength can be measured on a wave. Notice that the wavelength of the wave is the same no matter where it is measured. You can see the range of wavelengths for the different kinds of EM waves in Figure 2. Infrared waves. Infrared waves are EM waves that have wavelengths between 700 nanometers and 1 millimeter. A nanometer, or nm, is equal to 0.000000001 meter. The size of an atom is about 0.1 nanometer. Infrared waves are important to living things. On a sunny day, you may be warmed by infrared waves from the sun. The sun also warms other things on Earth and even warms Earth itself. In fact, infrared waves from the sun keep the temperatures on Earth suitable for life. All things, including buildings, trees, animals, and you, give off infrared waves. The amount of infrared waves an object gives off depends on the object's temperature and the properties of the object's surface. Warmer objects give off more infrared waves than cooler objects do. You can see the temperature differences on the surface of a dog in Figure 4. This photo was taken with film that is sensitive to infrared waves. Visible light. Visible light is the very narrow range of wavelengths in the electromagnetic spectrum that humans can see. Visible light waves have wavelengths between 400 nanometers and 700 nanometers. Visible light energy is changed into chemical energy by green plants during photosynthesis, as shown in Figure 5. The chemical energy can be stored in food that you can eat. Visible light from the sun. Some of the energy that reaches Earth from the sun is visible light. The visible light from the sun is white light. White light is visible light of all wavelengths combined. Light from lamps in your home, as well as from the fluorescent bulbs in your school, is also white light. Colors of light. Cells in the human eye react differently to different wavelengths of light. As a result, humans see the different wavelengths of visible light as different colors, as shown in Figure 6. The longest wavelengths are seen as red light. The shortest wavelengths are seen as violet light. The range of colors is called the visible spectrum, which is shown in Figure 7. To help you remember the colors, you can use the name Roy G. Biv. The capital letters in Roy's name represent the first letter of each color of visible light: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. You can think of lowercase I in Roy's last name as standing for the color indigo. Indigo is a dark blue color. Though the colors are given separate names, the visible spectrum is a continuous band of colors. Ultraviolet light. Ultraviolet light, or UV light, is another kind of electromagnetic wave that affects living things. Ultraviolet waves have shorter wavelengths than visible light waves do. The wavelengths of ultraviolet light waves vary between 60 nanometers and 400 nanometers. Ultraviolet light affects your body in both bad and good ways. Bad effects. On the bad side, too much ultraviolet light can cause sunburn, as you can see in Figure 8. Too much ultraviolet light can also cause skin cancer, wrinkles, and damage to the eyes. Luckily, much of the ultraviolet light from the sun does not reach Earth's surface. But you should still protect yourself against the ultraviolet light that does reach you. To do so, you should use sunscreen that has a high SPF, or sun protection factor. You should also wear sunglasses that block out UV light to protect your eyes. Clothes such as hats, long-sleeved shirts, and long pants can protect you too. You need this protection even on overcast days because UV light can travel through clouds. Good effects. On the good side, ultraviolet light that is produced by ultraviolet lamps is used to kill bacteria on food and surgical tools. In addition, small amounts of ultraviolet light are good for your body. When exposed to ultraviolet light, Skin cells produce vitamin D. This vitamin allows the intestines to absorb calcium. Without calcium, your teeth and bones would be very weak. Figure 9 shows a good effect of